Okay, well, what I want to say is, would you believe me if I told you I was a liar? That's a cold one. I don't know where that came from, but that's a cold one. Would you believe me if I told you I was a liar? It's a paradox. Zen Buddhist, I'm a Zen Buddhist, we respect silence a lot. So what I want to do is create a little bit of a mood to get into silence so that you might be inclined not to talk too much. And maybe tomorrow or tonight or next week, when you have a chance to speak, maybe you won't. You'll just be quiet. Or when you're having an argument with your partner, trying to get the last word in. I wouldn't know, I never did that, but some people do. So we respect silence a lot. Zen Buddhists don't like to lie, so that's another thing. We don't like to lie. So it doesn't mean we like to tell the truth, it means we just don't like to lie. Another thing about Zen Buddhism is that we believe that you already know all you need to know about everything. So that there's absolutely nothing that I can tell you that will be of any use to you. So don't be disappointed. So if you came here to learn a particular skill, I'm not the guy to tell you. Another thing Zen Buddhists do is before they talk, they apologize to their audience for speaking. Because I'm wasting your time and mine. Because I don't know anything that you need to know. We all want to encourage each other to do our best. So we talk to each other, we preach to each other, we try to teach each other. But it's all lies. Everything that we tell each other is lies. So everything I'm going to tell you now is a lie. St. Francis, who I like a lot, says, always preach the gospel. What he means was always talk about the good things about Jesus. And then he finishes that sentence by saying, if everything else fails, use words. Only when everything else fails, use words. So what he meant was by your life and by your action, that's how you teach the gospel. We're all Taoist here because we're studying Taoism from the Tao Te Ching. And does anybody remember what the first chapter is? The Tao that can be spoken is not the Tao. The truth that can be spoken is not the truth. The words that can be spoken are not the right words. That's why I say I'm going to lie to you. Buddhist learning is based on experience. When Buddha was dying, he said to his monks, don't believe a word I've ever said. Only believe what you experience. So if somebody told you all women are bad drivers, don't believe it. But if every time you drive down the street a woman smashes into your car, you can believe women are bad drivers. But only believe what you experience yourself. Don't believe anybody that tells you anything, no matter how many credentials they have or who they think they are. I think it's also ironic that I got a few notes that I made last night because Zen priests don't have notes. They're supposed to speak extemporaneously. Alan Watts, who I think brought Buddhism or Zen to this country, was an Episcopal priest and a Buddhist priest. And one of his last sermons, when he could then, at that time with all those hippies out there, could rent a big auditorium, he did. And he went in and sat on the stage. And he didn't say anything for half an hour. He just sat there and looked at the audience until they booed him off the stage. I think it was his last public speaking engagement. I think he was probably stoned because they did a lot of drugs and things in those days. But he really was teaching a good lesson, is that Zen priests don't preach with words. They only preach with actions. And we all know the Buddha story about Mahakashyapa, who was Buddha's first heir to Buddha's throne or Buddha's religion. And when Buddha was talking, all the people were nodding and agreeing and all this kind of stuff. And then at one point, Buddha held up a flower. And that's all. He didn't speak. He just held up a lotus flower. And everybody looked weird. I think like with Alan Watts, they wanted to get up and walk out and say, give me my money back. But Mahakashyapa had this big radiant smile come on his face. And he said, I got it. And that was part of the tradition of Buddhism, of Zen Buddhism, is there's what they call mind-to-mind transmission. You don't take a test to become a Zen Buddhist priest. You know, you get it like directly from the mind of your teacher after they put you through all kinds of hell. Then you kind of get that direct mind-to-mind transmission. So there isn't so much like the paper test that you have to take. Also, there's the expression that I like a lot, those that know don't tell, and those that tell don't know. So today's talk I have is, what I want you to do is experience what's going on here today. Don't experience anything that I say, just experience what you're experiencing. So, the truth of our actions can be impeccable, can be without error. The truth of what I do is who I am, not who I say I am. So I say I'm wonderful and smart and charming and all the rest of it. That's what I say. But what you see, what you experience, is what the truth really is. And lastly, you probably have all seen the statue of Avalokitesvara. And Avalokitesvara is the Buddha that sometimes looks like a woman, and she's got a vase in her hand with water coming out. The more elaborate ones actually have water dripping out, and the water dripping out are her tears. And Avalokitesvara means the one who hears, who knows all our problems. So sometimes she's depicted with 1,000 hands and arms, and in each of her hands she has an ear, so she can hear. And sometimes the other hands that she has have tools in them, like a little hammer or a saw or a knife, and that's that she can fix our problems. She hears our tears, she cries for our sorrows, and she can help us with our problems. And so Avalokitesvara can be Buddha or God or the Virgin Mary or whoever you want it to be, but there is someone, and it can be that someone that's way deep inside her heart. So with all that said, don't believe a word I said, but let's meditate.